Ep25. Let's see who's here. So I'll just give it a few moments for people to join in, and take it from there. Okay, we've got people coming in now. Hi, everybody. Welcome, as I said, to episode 25 of Words on Whiskey, brought to you by Irish Whiskey Magazine. And as always, we'll go kick off with the news, and a little bit of news this week. Nothing as much as would be expected. So the Black Bush stories are back. So from the 26th of November, there's going to be 13 events, and they've collaborated with Rebel Chili to do some cocktail classes, and they'll be sending out some kits. So if you're interested in that, the cost is €12. They'll be sending out some event kits with everything that you need to take part, and just visit blackbushstories.com. In terms of releases then, again, Tipperary Distillery have released their 6th of 7 of their experimental series, a 10-year-old experimental series, which has showcased a number of different cask finishes. And this one, the latest one, is a 10-year-old blend finished in oat stout casks. And I think the price is about €90 and 51.4% ABV, and I think 350 bottles are available of that. And then congratulations to Carlow Whiskey Society, who just founded. I think they founded in the last couple of days. So we wish them the very best of luck with their society, and hope to get a chance to come down and visit you guys and take part in a couple of your tastings. So best of luck. They're on the Facebook page, Carlow Whiskey Society, if you can find them there. And then finally, our competition for Powers Court Hamper. Huge number of entries in that, a huge amount of interest, and we'll be announcing the winner of that on our Facebook page tomorrow. So we're going to extend the opening until tomorrow morning, and then at lunchtime we'll be announcing the winner. So somebody there has got a very nice Christmas hamper as a gift. So that's it in terms of news. I think we know why we're here, really. So let me bring in Jennifer here from Tipperary, and Michael Foggarty from L Mulligans shop. Hello, everybody. Good evening.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. Just getting ready there. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
I'm very well. Very well. A big day today.
Yeah, massive. It's been, I know for everyone else it's 3 years, but for us, it's 4 years since we harvested our grain. So it's the culmination of a lot of work and a lot of stress.
There'll be a few drinks had to celebrate.
Yeah, definitely. This is only the start of it, I'd say. When this actually leaves and goes out the door, I was going to say, yeah, we'll all take the weekend off, but we won't, because we've only got Stuart over for another 2 weeks, and I've seen my calendar and I'm scheduled to go mashing or distilling every single day until he leaves.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm sure it'll be a great success. And then we've got Michael. Michael, good evening. How are you?
I'm good, Sergio. Hello, everybody. Yeah. Hello, Jennifer.
So thanks very much for inviting us to help with this tasting, Michael and Jennifer. Michael, of course, is the man behind L Mulligan Whiskey Shop. And, of course, the shop is closed at the moment, Michael, due to COVID, but very much open online.
Yeah, very, very much open online. And obviously we do online events every week as well. So keep an eye out for what we're doing and join in if you can.
Yeah. So if somebody does want to partake in those, they go to your website, lmulliganwhiskeyshop.com, and just register?
Just click on the big banner on the front page and it'll take you to all the events that are available, and you can purchase. They do sell it very quickly, but where possible, we can always try and add more tickets as well.
Yeah.
The demand is there.
Yeah, and it's weekly, is it? You're doing them?
Yeah, weekly. We'll be weekly up to the end of the year. We've got a couple of special ones coming up between Christmas and New Year, and before that as well, celebrating some of the great whiskies we've had this year as well. One of them might be Tipperary, actually.
Really? Yeah, I should hope so. Now that you're here, so I mean, Jennifer, you're entrusting Michael with your product, of course. So hopefully he will do a sterling job on that. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about yourself, firstly, because you aren't a native of Ireland, but you are from Scotland originally. You grew up.
Yep, I grew up in Scotland. I've got a very confused Scottish accent though, because I lived in 9 places by the time I was 18. So like I grew up beside distilleries, and as my dad moved to a different distillery, we'd moved to the next distillery house. So like we lived in Glenrothes, right by Highland Park, in Orkney, down beside Glenfiddich, down beside Garvin Grain. And we'd move around beside the distillery as went. So like I had a confused accent anyway, and then I moved to Ireland, and like I just lost my poor accent, lost all hope.
When did you end up coming here, and what brought you here?
I moved here in 2008, October 2008. And I came because I had a job with an accountant's firm in the tax department, and it was the recession, and there was no other jobs going anywhere. And I was like, I was in Australia at the time, and I was like, I'm going back for my job in Ireland, because if I don't go back now, who knows when I'll be able to get another job. So that's how I came. And then tax is a very specialized subject. Doesn't really lend itself to travel very well. So after I came here, I was stuck in Ireland.
Yeah, I mean, the tax regulations are obviously very different between Scotland and Ireland, or are they quite similar?
Similar compared to other countries. So the tax legislation originally in Ireland was based on the UK legislation. But it's diverged since Ireland got its independence. So like it's not like you can move back and forward between the two without having to change anything. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've taken a very different career path now. So I mean, you've gone from a very corporate world with a very corporate company. And although you did tell me your tax is very exciting for you, which I find hard to believe, but yes, that is possible. I know from my sister-in-law, as I said, who's a tax consultant as well. But yes, well, it's not something we share in common. But what was the reasoning? What drove you to change the direction, to leave a very successful career? You were a chartered accountant, you'd made director, and to go and seek a world in whiskey? Obviously, you were surrounded by whiskey as a child, and we'll talk about your father later. But
yeah, I suppose I was an associate director with KPMG, and we had to make tea department. We had a department like secretaries. We had people that would like do things that I now have to do myself, and I do miss that part of it. I miss the steady monthly income. But I think I always want to do something of my own. And MD else could come in and do my job when I was a tax consultant, like MD else or an accountant. Either of those, MD else, another accountant, another tax advisor could come in and could solve that problem. And I was like, I want to do something. And then I ended up getting engaged, and I married to my husband, who's a grain farmer. And it just seemed like, this is before the massive explosion in distilleries. It seemed like it was a really good idea to take his grain, which had been his family farm, has been in the family for at least 5 generations. And with my dad's distilling expertise, I was like, we could do something. We've got a unique set of skills. Not to sound all Liam Neeson on it. We've got a unique set of skills to make this something amazing. So we did.
I'm sure it comes in handy dealing with customs and excise and revenue, knowing all the tax and everything. So just
like everything. Like it comes in handy if you're talking to the bank when they want business plans. Like I file all our tax returns for my sins. It does come in handy because you can just go and sort everything out yourself rather than having to look for. It's another less person to pay, I suppose.
Yes, it's always good not to have to pay accountants and tax consultants. But I mean, whiskey's in your blood. Like you've been surrounded, as I've said, your father is a highly respected distiller, whiskey expert, consultant. He's been in the industry for 40 years and worked with all the big brands, really. And I mean, how much of an impact did your father have in deciding to set up this distillery?
I think he had an impact in two ways. Like he had an impact in the way that he raised me, because he never made me feel like I couldn't do anything. Like he always, both my parents always made me feel like I could do absolutely anything. So when I was like, I'm going to set up a distillery, I don't think at any point he said to me, "You'll never be able to do it." I don't think he's ever in his life said to me, "You'll never be able to do something." Like he's always.
Did he say you were crazy?
No. Absolutely not. I think like in hindsight, he might have been crazy not to say to me, "Are you sure you know what you're doing?"
Yeah.
But he's always been totally on board with everything that I've done ever.
Brilliant.
So it's kind of his fault that I'm this way.
Yeah.
And then the other aspect is that if I didn't have him on board, I don't think I would have been able to get this far. So like he came over and distilled this whiskey for us. He's setting up our stills right now.
Yeah.
He's organizing. I can't even, like, everything from my mash all the way through to my, like, he knows every single part of it intimately, and he's able to convey that. And I just wouldn't have known where to start, even with the equipment.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the companies he's worked with. Let me see: Bell's, Edrington, Diageo, William Grant's, Glenlawshaw, Glenwivis, Shetland, and then he has his own malt whiskey company as well, and he's a director on Tipperary as well. So there's an awful lot of experience there. But was he supportive in your decision to decide, "Oh, look, I'm going to go and do this"?
Yeah. As I said, I don't think he's ever questioned my ability to do anything. Like he's always said, if I wanted to do something, I could go away and do it. And so as soon as I said, he was fully in support. Before I think I ever suggested it, he was on Liam's farm going, "This would be a great place for a distillery. Like the weather's brilliant. You've got the grain growing. This is a great idea." And so as soon as I said that I was interested in it, he was 100% on board.
But you've done all the branding and all the marketing and all the sales and the daily organization and the daily running of the distillery, sourcing, labels, you were telling me, everything. I mean, where do you find the time to do all those?
I don't know that I do find the time. I'm sure there's like people that feel like I've tried to communicate with Jennifer and I can't get a hold of her. It's just constant trying to make sure that you get the most important things done so that you get forward to the next day and the next milestone gets hit. And
this is a big milestone today. But you were telling me you've turned on the stills today.
Yeah, he turned on
the first distillation.
Yeah.
So huge congratulations on that. It must be what you set up the company in 2016, isn't it?
We set up the company in 2014.
14.
I quit my job in end of September 2015, and we launched our first product in March 2016.
And that was the Rising, was it?
Yeah.
Let me see. I have a picture of that somewhere. Let's share a few photos with everybody. Actually, let's go backwards and talk about the farm. So I'll share the screen there for the. So this is Ballindunny Farm in Tipperary. It's been established it's a 200-year-old farm, and your husband Liam, his family, obviously have run this for 200 years. And is it mostly cereals or is it mixed?
100% tillage.
100% tillage.
Yeah, they don't have any animals. My husband likes being a summer farmer.
Fair enough. But it's a beautiful neck of the woods and some beautiful drone footage here. And this was the harvest, I think, for what you're releasing today, isn't it?
Yep, that was taken the 2016 harvest. So it was actually, that was harvested on my birthday in 2016. Ooh. So my husband wasn't around on my birthday after I moved all the way to Tipperary for him. He was driving up and down the field in the combine.
Well, it was for a good cause, no? You'd be drinking. So, sorry, everybody here, if anybody has any questions, please do join in and ask any questions that you have. Thank you very much, all for joining us. Look at that. We have some David and Carolyn Taylor from Tasmania. So obviously there are fans from all over. You've got Tina from Germany, Ashley, who I know is a huge fan of your products, and Michael. So anybody have any questions, please do ask. And we've Enrica from Italy. Hello, Enrica. So a very European, worldwide audience, actually. And your product does have a worldwide reach. What are your key markets?
We're hoping that America is going to pick up again and be one of the key markets. So we're sending a couple of pallets out there this week. Germany's a key market for us. The UK is a decent market. Belgium, if Gaetan's around, Belgium. Then we've got a little bit historically in Australia that we've need to have a look at again, and a little bit in Asia.
Okay, just trying to show some of the products that you have actually released today. So, as I said, it started off with this one, the Rising, and I think that was 2017, 2016, 2016, and there's a number of other key releases. But you also do some specialist cask strength releases. So you're well known for doing single cask releases. What's the philosophy behind those, Jennifer?
To be honest with you, I love single cask strengths. Like, I like something that's unique and is like a little microcosm. It's just a little moment in time.
Yeah,
I find it more interesting than something that is that's meant to be. I understand the reason behind. Like, I've got standard bottles in my cupboard. I'm sure as everyone has is like a standard. This is what I'm going to have because it's a staple. But for me, there's something really interesting about picking a cask that's particularly special and showcasing that on its own. And obviously, you have to get the right cask to do that.
Sure.
But I just think there's something nice about it. And there's something nice about the fleetingness of it. Like, it's there and then it's gone. And once all the bottles are gone, that's
it.
Yeah. I like that.
I think Tina's asking, will some of the bottles be making their way to Germany, or are they only available through L Mulligan? Michael, are you going to send some to Germany?
You can buy it from us and we'll send it to Germany.
There you go. There you go. And Ashley Penny, who's a big fan and really put me wise, he informed me of the Watershed. He's a massive fan of the Watershed release that you did. He's actually a big fan of all releases, but that's the one that he put me onto. And fantastic whiskey. But what's the I mean, there's so many brands out there, Jennifer. An Irish whiskey is really taken off. What makes you unique, and what's your philosophy for the brand?
I think our philosophy has always been to bring it back to the farm. So, like, if you look at what we did, the first whiskey we had was sourced, and we sourced 6 casks, and we said, this is a little example of what we like in Irish whiskey. And then the next steps are Rising, and then the next ones we released were the Watershed and Oatmeal Downs.
Yeah,
and
that's the one I have here. Knocking down the 10-year-old. So,
and
lovely
those
whiskey.
were they were cut to bottling strength with water from the farm, and so we're trying to bring it a little bit closer back to the farm. Mm-hmm. Then the next release was the single cask, and that was cask that we'd chosen ourselves. And then the next release was the Pochine, which was our own grain, but it hadn't been matured yet. And then now we have the one that we're going to talk about tonight. And our philosophy has always been to get it back to the farm, so to do barley to bottle. That's what we've wanted to do since we first started this. And it's been, I'll be honest, like, it's been really hard going in and going. I don't know how much confidence Michael had in me, but like, him and Shane have actually been really supportive, but we've been going on and ranting on that we're going to do this for, I'd say, the past 4 years we've been going, we're going to do barley to bottle, we're going to do barley to bottle, we're going to get a distillery in the farm, we're going to do barley to bottle. And it's taken a while, but like, that's what we want to do, and that's what we're going to have.
Has it taken longer than you expected? Or, I mean, you do have a full outfit down there. I mean, you're telling me you've got 4 stills. You can do from grain all the way down to bottling. I mean, the only thing you don't have at the moment is is malting, but you were telling me you were working with Athgar for that. But everything else is in-house.
Yeah, everything else is in-house. I did suggest to my husband that we got a floor malt input in and that he could just turn it manually. And I got told absolutely no way was he doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's probably gotten up on his plate with the farming side of it. But so are you a believer of terroir then?
Yes.
You are, yeah.
So, to everyone that's not, I totally am. I don't know how. Can I have my rant, or do you want me to?
I want you to have your rant. Yeah, we need a good rant.
I don't know how you can't believe in terroir. I don't know, like, how. I know everyone talks about, like, it disappears with distillation and you're going to put it in a barrel and all those flavors are from the barrel. But if you look at any of the whiskey wheels, so many flavors of those are originating from the barley. And, like, we all know it's not the same if I get wheat and distill it and put it in a barrel. So why do we pretend that the barley isn't impacting the flavor?
Yeah.
I honestly don't know why
otherwise we'd all be doing it from corn.
Like, well, it doesn't. It costs me so much money to malt my barley. Like, I wouldn't be doing it if I could just throw in a load of, like, the wheat that's outside or the oats that are outside and get the same result. So I just think it's absolute madness that we all sit around and discuss something that's really obvious. And I'm really glad that Waterford have got the money to put into the studies to prove the existence of it, because we wouldn't have had the cash.
No, and I think they're very close to releasing that report. I mean, it does. I mean, if it has a huge impact in wine, of course, it's the bedrock of wine, terroir, in some sense. I mean, the only argument is what percentage of impact does it have, and is it the one that makes the difference?
Yeah, but I think it all makes a difference. Like, I'm not saying terroir is the be all and end all. I'm not saying there's not an influence from casks. Yeah. I'm saying that everything has an influence. Like, it's where my barley's coming from. It's how my barley's growing. It's how my barley's then treated afterwards, like all the way through the malting process. It's how it's distilled. It's how it's matured. Like, all of those things have an impact on it. But the barley is the base flavor, and you're having an impact on that base flavor. So I think just to throw out where that flavor originates is disingenuous.
And what about cask strength then? What's it about cask strength that's particularly attractive? I mean, people love collecting single cask varieties of whiskey, and you certainly developed and built up a huge reputation for the quality of what you released. But what is it that is it the sense of offering something unique to somebody that's available only for a short period of time?
That's the single cask aspect, but the cask strength is the flexibility. Like, I think you should be allowed to drink your whiskey however you want to drink it. And, like, if I release something at cask strength, you can, now the duty normally hits me a bit, but you can then choose to add as much water, as little water to that as you like. Sure. Where if I choose to reduce it to 47, you can't add in more whiskey to get it back stronger again. I've added in that already. So if I'm doing a single cask, I like people to have the flexibility to enjoy that however they want to enjoy it.
It's a bit like going to the barbers and cutting off too much hair, but then trying to stick it back on. But
at least that goes back.
You've got no hair off.
We won't talk about hair. Not on this show, but listen. So look, it's a massive occasion. I'm really thrilled for you. You're officially now, I think the 37th working distillery in Ireland, and we're at 37 already. So things are moving along. I mean, what is it you're going to do in terms of? I see that you're looking to change the branding a little bit going forward as well. Mm-hmm. So can I show a picture of the latest offering in bottle terms?
Yeah.
I see you have one there behind you, actually.
I do, yeah.
So maybe you want to share that with us as well. But here's obviously a digital view of it, which isn't quite the same. But I think you've got the real thing there in front of us.
Yeah, I've got my wooden box and everything.
So 280 bottles.
Mm-hmm.
60.8% ABV.
Yeah.
And what else do you want to tell us about it, Jennifer?
I can tell you so much about this. We've got a little QR code on the back.
Okay.
You can see that there. And
Brilliant.
what it's going to do is it's going to take you right to a website that's going to show you everything that happened to this all the way through from when it was sown, the daylight hours, the temperature, like everything that happened to the grain, and everything that happened all the way through, like our fermenting conditions, our yeast, all the way through to when we hand bottled it on the 4th, so 2 weeks ago now.
Right.
And then what we'll keep on doing is we'll do this for every single bottling that we do. So that and this is what I think is the coolest thing about it. Sorry, I will talk about this individual in a second. But the coolest thing about it is that if you try this one, and then next year I'll have to have a think. Well, I think we're in the big field for the one next year. But you'll be able to see how the weather maybe changed it, how different fields taste different. Like, it's going to be really cool. I actually can't wait. Like, we've recorded everything, we've put it out there.
You put out the grain that was the specific barley. I think this one's Olympus, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Which is really interesting to see as well. So, look, the more transparency, the better. Of course, there are some contentions around labeling of Irish whiskey. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Is this where people get upset with me because it says Tipperary on it?
No, I think it's in general in Irish whiskey for actually putting too much information sometimes, you know.
I think that there is contention about putting different ages on a label. And I understand the historical reasons behind that. I don't agree with it. I think that the more information that's out there for a consumer, the better. But I think what happens with, I think people should be allowed to put on the composition of a blend they make, like, because if you're releasing a non-age statement blend and you're charging a lot of money for it, because it has some very old whiskey in it, you should be able to tell people the reasoning behind it rather than
hiding behind it. Yeah. I mean, I think there are issues around labeling that are being addressed or starting to be addressed. But what do you make of the Irish whiskey industry as a whole? And is there enough done to support distilleries? Or you're not a member of the IWA, or is that something that you were looking to join, or is it not something you're pushed about?
No, I'm not pushed about it. The IWA is too expensive. The way it's run just now, the IWA membership itself is not expensive, but you have to be a member of the umbrella body first, and that is expensive.
Right.
And I think it's run by the bigger companies for the bigger companies.
Okay.
I don't think it's run in the same way as the Scotch Whiskey Association, which I think maybe has, but no, I could be wrong. I'm not a member of either of them. I've got the impression that the Scotch Whiskey Association has a little bit more access to more information and can be more useful. But as I said, I'm not a member of either because I can't afford to be a member of the IWA.
Yeah. Okay. Just for anybody that doesn't know, that's the Irish Whiskey Association. But look, I think we should probably crack on because now, the thing is, you very generously sent out 4 different samples, and we've never done 2 of them are gin. Now, some people could say I know nothing about whiskey, but certainly gin is something that I'm very ignorant about. I do enjoy, but you sent 2 gin samples. Maybe you want to tell us about these and why you sent them.
I was like, sure, I've got a chance to get my market research done for free. I'll send them out.
Okay, that's what's quite honest. Okay. Yeah.
So we've got a gin still in as well in our little tiny distillery, and my mum made these gin samples in her kitchen. We've got a tiny little glass gin still in my kitchen at home in Scotland, and my mum does all our gin trials. So she made these for us, and these are kind of the 2 directions we're going in. So we said when I was sending out all the whiskey, I might as well take advantage and see if people wanted to give their opinions on my gins as well. So
gin is something you're planning to release soon?
Yeah, we're hoping to get some out before Christmas. Now, it's only going to be we're not saying we're going to do the next. It's not going to be a huge brand. We're hoping to do a little bit around Tipperary. And I think the gin market is huge right now and very crowded. So like we're going to do something that's local, something that if people come and visit us in the next while and want to try something that we've distilled ourselves before we get our whiskey, try our gin. It'll be a nice gin. My parents already have a gin company and they're very good at making gin. So you should try our gins. It is good. And
I know the botanical. Well, look, let's crack them open first. So let's kick off with gin sample number 1, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about it. And Michael, you can probably do the tasting notes on this, or Jennifer as well. But let's have a go.
What color is your sticker on that one, guys?
I just have sample 1.
You've got the fancy tape around the top.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the tape around the top is the same on all of mine.
I don't know what Michael did then.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So I think for those that do have samples, we hope you get a chance to open them now. For those that don't, maybe just watch us enjoying them. But I mean, the big difference here is this is your own gin. It's not a sourced gin like the vast majority that are out there on the market are. So it's distilled by yourselves, and presumably you have put your own botanicals and chosen those.
Yeah. Like I said, my Shawnee's saying that your tape is different. So
take us through this then and see.
So I reckon the first one that you've got has a spotty pink tape on it. Michael might tell me if I'm right.
Yeah.
Mine did do, but I crumpled it up. But yeah.
Okay.
Very, very orangey on the nose, isn't it?
Yes.
There's a lot of citrus off it. It's hugely citrus.
It's all orange to me. I get loads of orange and a little bit of spice. What is in it? Well, I'm guessing there's orange in it.
Orange, a pile of orange. This one's actually fig and orange. Yeah, it's got sun-dried figs in it.
Great Irish ingredients there.
I've got a second one that is. I wonder if she'll mind me telling you. And sure, I don't. It's fine. I'm drinking Mum. If my mum watches this, I'm sorry. But my next one I think is going to be sugar kelp, like Irish sugar kelp. Because I want to go. But anyway, she didn't have Irish sugar kelp when she made these for me, so they're fig and orange, Michael. Sorry about that.
So what is sugar kelp for those of us that don't know?
Seaweed, Irish seaweed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's available in. Because the issue with gin as well, that it has to be something that you're going to be able to get in sufficient quantities that you can make it again if it goes well. Yeah.
Is this 40%?
It is. Yeah, this one's 40.
Yeah, but it's incredibly easy to drink. No burn at all.
No, it's very, very smooth, isn't it?
I mean, you could very comfortably drink that without any tonic or any mix.
No, I think it's lovely. Yeah, we'll see what everyone thinks about the two.
Well, so far so good. I'm getting sample 1, very nice. My mum is getting my gin samples. Easy sipping, stunningly sweet, very citrusy. Yeah. There's Alan. Hi, Alan. Pink with gold spots. Okay. I'm not sure what that is. That's it. Pink with gold spots for this one. I think she's talking about the label.
Label.
Thanks, Natalie.
Yeah.
See, I had to check, right? Because I actually put the sticker on the bottle I used, the sample bottle, so I needed to check which I sent you.
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, that is very easy to drink. Really refreshing, actually, as well. I think that must be the citrus in it.
I think it's lovely. I like that one.
Yeah. Michael, any notes for us? Other than the figs that you missed?
Figs, I didn't get the figs, but I definitely got the orange. It's very citrusy, and when you taste it, it's not as bitter and junipery led as a lot of gins. I think the citrus is more prominent. And I can tell that just from nosing it, But the second one, I'm finding probably more.
Oh
more of a lemony citrus more than anything. Maybe lime. It's you get this. I'm guessing that's what's in there, but.
Some really nice comments. Natalie's saying there is delicious. Okay, well, give me a second and I'll catch up with you now on sample number 2.
See, Michael's got his wish with the second one. The second one has an Irish ingredient in it that I actually asked for, but I just can't get on board with the taste. there's something. Yeah, I'll tell you in a second what the ingredient is.
It's mustier, this one, and there's more juniper coming through on this one, I think.
It's not as sweet and citrus forward.
No.
Oh, it's more gin. It's quintessential gin, isn't it?
Yeah.
More juniper led.
And there's more heat off this one for sure.
It's still a bit sweet, but not sweety citrusiness. You know, it doesn't have that acidity.
There you go. Michelle is saying it's much better on its own than with tonic. So that's a high compliment. So, I mean, what's the plan then for gins? Is this something you want to continue doing? Is it going to be part of the range of the family?
I love gin. Like I want to have. This is mine now, guys. This is mine. I want to have a blog called Gin and Tonic. Like I've wanted to do gin for so long.
Okay.
I love gin. I had to fight so hard with the guys to do gin. They don't want gin at all. But my mom is fantastic, and she did the samples for me. And because my dad is nice, he's agreed that he'll distill my gin for me. So yeah, like I just adore gin a little bit. So the gin's allowed to run as my own little like baby side project because the whiskey is the big thing, and I'm allowed to just play around with it as my baby project. But it's always going to be because I love it.
It's nice to compare them both side by side, so you can number one and then number two.
Yeah.
Very different, you know, when you're side by side.
Jen, I hope that's you. You need to be quick in this game. It's unbelievable.
I'll have to do .ie.
You'll have to go with .ie, or change your name.
Or
start
change.
with it. Yeah, there you go.
Can have it with a G. So the problem with my second one, right, is that I asked for hawthorn because we've got hawthorn hedges around the farm, and I really want to include hawthorn in the gin, and then I thought it'd be a really nice, like it'd be a cool botanical and blah blah. And it turns out that I don't like the taste of hawthorn. And like even the tiniest bit of hawthorn in a gin, I don't like.
Well, if I was given a choice over the two, I think number one would be the one I would go for. And I think a few people are agreeing. Yeah.
I'd say the same. Yeah, number one, that oranginess coming through is just beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah. Mick Power. Hi, Mick. How are you? He's saying second sample has a blackcurrant note. I kind of get that now. Yeah, sometimes it just takes a
blackcurrant in it, but I don't know what
the berry flavor. Yeah. Well, I mean, are you planning to release two?
No, I'll do one. I managed to get one through the approvals process. There's not a hope I'm getting to through the approvals process.
Right. Yeah, and just in terms of actually creating and releasing a product, how difficult is it?
The first one is heartbreaking. The second one is a bit easier. Yeah. And then it gets easier and easier. Now, every time you go to change things, so when this was hard, like because we changed the label shape, we kept the bottle, but we changed the outer packaging with the wooden box. We actually changed the packaging on the longer run, and it makes everything hard. And so the first time you go to create something as well, you need to source product, and that's fine when you're so this time we just took samples and we took Stuart down to the warehouse and we went through casks and we were like, taste this, and that was all perfectly fine. But the first time we did it, we were calling up people and we were going to meetings and we were tasting different samples that people were giving us from their own warehouses and trying to find something that they liked. Whereas now we have a store of whiskey that we can go down and look at, and we've been monitoring for the past while, so we kind of know already what we're going to have coming up. I kind of know what I'll release next year already. So it gets a little bit easier as you go along, but yeah, your first one is
difficult.
I can't describe how bad it was. It was awful.
But I mean, given a choice of gin or whiskey, I hope I'm going to get the right answer here. Where's your heart lie?
See, I think gin is like my oh, this is, no one's going to drink my gin after this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Gin's a bit like my McDonald's. Like, I like it. Like, it's really tasty. It's really nice, but it doesn't have the same level of complexity as, like, say, if I go to Michael's, because I went there several weeks ago. It's not the same as going to Michael's for my food. Like, that's just a different quality experience.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes I want to sit down with a gin and tonic. Sometimes I want to hang about outside and have a few gin and tonics and not think so much about what I'm drinking.
Yeah, you just want to enjoy the drink as a drink without having to labor over it and analyze it too much. But I mean, is that problem now for you? Can you go out and just have a drink and not overanalyze it?
Oh, I can have a drink, Sergios.
You can. Yeah, I can have one or two as well. But you don't have to overthink it or over delve into it.
I think whiskey is maybe a little bit like that for me. I find myself thinking about it, and I have to stop myself. Like if I'm out and I order something, I do find, and then people ask you about it, and people go, "Oh, what should I be drinking?" and what, and it does, and which is nice, and it's really good, but like sometimes I just want to have a pint, or sometimes I just want to have a gin and tonic and go like, think of it.
I think it's a little bit like comedians. You know, comedians are often asked to go out and they're told to say something funny, you know, whereas, look, I'm not working, I'm off time. So Ricky Ryan is asking, first one is nice straight and would make a nice G&T. The second would make a great martini. Okay, well, there you go. Of course, cocktails is a huge part. Do you see your whiskeys and your gins being used in cocktails?
It probably depends on the whiskey. The gins, definitely. The whiskeys, I think that quality spirit is really important for a cocktail, but I don't know that anyone is picking a single cask strength whiskey as a cocktail ingredient. Like 10-year-old, 12-year-old, even some 16-year-old whiskeys yet. But I think single casks, I don't know if anyone's going, I'm going to do a cocktail with this. Yeah.
Can get expensive then. I mean, you certainly lose a lot. But it's funny that I mean, gin, you know, I've heard of gins with 40 botanicals in it, but you still don't get the level of complexity in gin that you would get in whiskey.
No, and I think the problem with gin is that you can stick in 40 botanicals, but it's intended to be like gin is a juniper forward spirit. Like we're pushing the box with the first gin there that's more citrus forward. That gin is at its essence a juniper based spirit drink, and like if you throw in 40 botanicals, I'm sure there's someone that's going to have 40 botanicals. They're going to be upset about me saying this, but I think you're overcomplicating something that's meant to be a fairly simple, enjoyable drink. Yeah.
Well, look, let's kick off then with, should we go with the 61.4% sample or the 60.8?
Let's do the 60. No, Michael can choose. Michael can tell me.
I've got 60.8 in the glass, which is sample, so that's what we're kicking off with. In my glass.
Yeah, thanks for waiting for us, Michael. But yeah, well,
talking about gin, shut up.
Well, I have to say they're lovely sample bottles. I didn't realize they would be. I'd like to get rid of the filter off them to make it quicker to come out of the little sample bottles.
You can pull it out really easy. If you've got big fingernails, you can pull it out and come away.
Oh, I'm looking at the color on this. Wow.
That's why I thought I love it.
Yeah. So, okay, Jennifer, let's first let us tell us about this. Firstly, obviously, you mentioned that it's from your own grain.
Whiskey One.
Whiskey One, yes. Oh, I don't even have to put it near me, and I can smell it. Wow. Fantastic. Yeah. Well, look, firstly, congratulations. So this will be my first sip of your first whiskey, really. So this is from barley, from your own farm, distilled by your father in Ireland, and presented here in a very limited number to very few people that will be able to get it. So firstly, Michael, it's available €150 online. Is that right?
Yeah, it's been on sale for the last 15 minutes. So grab a bottle while you can.
Okay, and 280 bottles only, so
Yeah, I think Michael's got 250. I've got some reserved for charity events and things, but
Very good.
You're lying. You're going to drink the other 30 bottles, aren't you?
might do.
Well, there's only 220 bottles for sale because I'm keeping 30 bottles back for myself.
So this one is 60.8%.
Yeah.
So per whack. Yeah.
It is high.
The vanilla really hits you as well at the beginning on the nose. Michael, do you want to take us through the tasting notes of this?
I haven't made any up yet.
Okay, well that's good.
No, it's quite sticky, isn't it? It clings to your mouth. It's got a really good mouthfeel around. I got no water in this, and I don't even have any water beside me. But I suppose it's quite easy drinking for a 60%, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, 60 would definitely be at the higher end of cask strength releases. That's for sure.
But we like to say it's when I say it's quite sticky, it's quite jammy. Or like, you know, you get these fruity jam, like a sort of strawberries, a bit of raspberry blackcurrant jam going on there. Stick it on your toast in the morning. Here you are. It's breakfast. It's a breakfast whiskey. It's jam on toast. We've got these toasted notes, a little bit of nuttiness there, you know, a little bit of breadiness, yeastiness.
Yeah, I mean there are different on the taste. I get different fruit to the ones I get on the nose. Like I got to get summer fruit on the nose, and then kind of sherry-ish and sort of raisins on the tongue.
Anybody who's got it in the glass will notice there's a very sort of pinkish reddish colour. And Tina was asking there what the cask is, and that's a Rioja cask. Jennifer's a big fan of Rioja casks, and I say pretty much every whiskey that Jennifer and Stuart have put into, and Liam have put into a Rioja cask, that's been the stunner. I know, and they've always been well received, the Rioja cask. So there's no surprise that they put this in a Rioja cask, because wherever they're sourcing them from, they're absolutely fantastic casks, and they really impart an amazing flavour. I know Stuart back in the day in Glenglassaugh was releasing pink whiskey back then. This is his Irish version of his pink whiskey, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody can look, I mean, there really is a red tint to that. And actually, I see a tasting note here. Shawneen has given a great one: honey nut cornflakes, and Mick Power is saying rich tea biscuits, and I do get both of those notes off. But now that it's amazing what other people will trigger off in your mind.
But you know, it's got all these. It's a breakfast whiskey. This is what you wake up for in the morning. You know, this is what starts your day off nicely.
When in June 2017, and it was disgorged on the 4th of this month.
Right. Okay. So 3.5 years old, pour.
Yeah, 2.5. 3 and a bit.
You wouldn't think it was that, was it? You know, like we've over the last few months, we've had a lot of debates on our tastings about age in whiskey, and is it just a number? You know, and realize if the whiskey's good enough, it's good enough. You know, but for me, you know, it doesn't really matter what age on a whiskey is these days. There's so much choice out there, and I think this is phenomenal. You know, for you know, we call it a young whiskey. You know, but you know, let's look at Jennifer. Has this been the maturation of this? And we said Rioja, is it fully matured in Rioja?
Yep, Rioja D1. We actually have a selection from. We did a range of everything from, and Michael, I know I've been on different things, and Michael and my dad have been on the same thing, and they've been talking about loving refill casks for longer aging. But so we've got a mix of refill sherry, bourbons, first fill Riojas, Porto, and Madeira casks. But this is a first fill Rioja, and what we wanted was something that worked well at a younger age. And I think that's what we've got. Like, we went all around all our casks, and I'm not saying we thought this was the best one for to release now as a young whiskey. Yeah,
I would say I do get black pepper on it and fudge. I don't know if anybody else is getting that.
No. But everybody's palate is different. Everyone's flavour palate, and that's the beauty of it. You know, lots of people get different flavours. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, fully matured in this Rioja cask, so it's 3.5 years in this cask.
Yeah, it's an amazingly meaty, full-bodied whiskey. Actually, I have to say, it's there's a bit of beef to that and a bit of texture to it. but it doesn't overpower. And the heat off it, it's not a burning heat. It's lovely. It kind of floats to the top of your mouth. It's really excellent. And I'm a big fan of Rioja as well.
Keep them away. You have to send me more samples.
That's because you were miserable sending yourself a sample, Michael.
I gave them all to you.
There's somebody else that's getting fudgy caramel as well there, Michael. So
I think that's the beauty of whiskey, isn't it? There's so many different flavors and everyone's palate's different. And that's for me, it's the most enjoyable thing about whiskey, because whiskey is a fun thing, and you shouldn't take it too serious. You should, should enjoy it and have a laugh and a joke about it and really have a great time with it, Because if you're not having a laugh and a joke with alcohol, then you shouldn't be drinking it, really, should you?
No, what I love is, though, other people's notes, and then you say, yes, I get that.
Yeah. A lot of the time, like, there's a lot of flavors that you can actually only taste if you've actually tasted and smelt them before. Yeah. If you've never had sticky toffee pudding, you probably won't get that, If you were younger and you were given an orange and your parents told you it's an apple, you'd think that it was an apple. It's how your brain's been developed over the senses. You see whiskey people that say, "Oh, it tastes like electrical wires," And I remember as a child, I chewed a plug, I chewed a wire. I'm sure some people done it. Pencil shavings, we all chewed a pencil. How else would you get that taste and flavour? Because the brain has to process it, and say, "This is a pencil." Chew it. Flavor.
What I love about this is the complexity in it. It really, and I know people always say you bring somebody onto the show and you taste the whiskey, but it punches way above its age, and the complexity and the depth of flavor in it is massive, really massive. Very impressed with it.
That's for me. That's the cask selection here. That's Sergio, we talked about this the other day, and he says, why are Tipperary whiskey so brilliant? And you were saying is it because Stuart has a hand in this? And without taking anything away from Jennifer, Stuart's got 40, 50 years in this industry. You can go out and do a course on distillation and do all the theory, but when you've got 50 years of practicality behind you, it makes a massive difference. And you've got the contacts you've built up over the years. You can get all the great the great barrels. You know what you're looking for. And for me, when you've got someone like Stuart there and working with Jennifer and doing this great to create all this product is amazing, because you have that experience, and it's something. It's going to stand Tipperary good in the future. Is having that great experience and developing that and bringing that out, and Jennifer taking that on board and working with Stuart on that. And a lot of other distilleries in Ireland are going to have to go, we'll have to play a bit of catch up here, and we're going to have to learn. It's going to take time, because you can't make whiskey overnight, obviously, but it gives, I suppose, the other distilleries playing catch up and giving them a little bit of time, because there's going to be a demand for a lot of different wine barrels and different barrels from all over the world. So there's it's going to be a bit of a dogfight out there to get the best. And at least with Tipperary, with Stuart and these contacts, this is why this is so good at such a young age, because
well, look, you can't learn football from a book.
Barley Liam grew.
But I'm sure Jennifer, a lot of this you would have picked up and learned growing up by osmosis, almost. Excuse the pun. You picked it up as a sixth sense, almost, in terms of what you like and what's good.
I think I was lucky in that my dad massively believes in drinking whiskey and not stirring it. I don't know how many whiskeys he's got that he's not opened. It's not a lot. And so growing up, I don't know that I drank cheap alcohol very much at all, because he was he just constantly was like, try this, try that, try the next thing.
This one, Paddy, number one.
Yeah.
He's always been into sharing. He's always been into talking about it, and he's always been into talking about what he tastes like. I don't think I appreciated it as much as I should have done growing up, but definitely the past few years, I go home and I'm like, "What's this?"
Now you do. Now you do. Yeah. But the thing is, somebody mentioned there that your single cask and your cask strength releases have been phenomenal, and there's nothing to hide behind when you do a cask strength release. You're fully exposed there. It is what it is. There's no watering it down and kind of diluting the flavor of it and pretending it's something else. And it's a very brave move as well. So congratulations on that. I think I'm really impressed with this. Really, really impressed with this. So look, Mike, will you be doing oh no, of course you can't do that. The days of actually being able to walk into Mulligans shop and try a sample before are gone for the moment.
What we can do is we do like a 50 ml and 100 ml service online as well. So it's our hip flask service. Anyone who knew the shop or knows the shop, you come in and get your hip flask filled. So we're definitely going to, when we receive the stock from Jennifer, we're going to keep a few bottles back, and we'll put on our virtual hip flask service, which is 100 ml bottles and also 50 ml bottles as well. So people will have the opportunity to buy it as a smaller size if need be, if they want to, for those who haven't tried it, who want to try it before they buy a bottle. But it's I thought it was a great whiskey, and the comments are saying it's a great collaboration, enthusiasm, bravery, and experience all rolled into one, and and a great farmer as well, and Liam. It's a great family project, and that's, for me, that's why I love Tipperary so much, because there's so much going on. Jen says some people can't get in touch with me, but Jen, we talk on a regular basis. We've always got time for each other, and I've probably done the same boat as you. I avoid the phone a lot, but it's great when we get to talk. I've said this loads of times before. Our conversations go on and on and on for hours, because we just talk about whiskey and what it is.
Yeah. It's not the Scottish background, is it?
No, the love of good whiskey, and cask strength and single cask has become a lot more prominent over the last year, and a lot of people talk about it. But myself and Jennifer have talked about this like 4 or 5 years ago. It's like, and I was saying, no, you should do loads of single cask strength. There are people out there for it. And maybe 4 or 5 years ago, it was a bit of a lesser community, but that community has grown massively now, and people really do want it. Sergio, you commented on all the whiskey bottles behind me there, and it's all from the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, single cask strength, because that's my preferred way of drinking whiskey as well. I really love it. So, and I think that's the beauty. And for me, I just hope Jennifer keeps releasing single cask strength, and it's a bit easier for you, Jennifer, because you have your own bottling line, where you don't have to rely on somebody else. Probably a pain in the neck for putting labels on and doing all that, but you've said it already tonight. It's a great way of drinking whiskey, and I think for me that's what I love about Tipperary. And if you keep doing that going forward, you've got one customer here,
But I think what I find really attractive to the brand as well is that the family are involved. There's so much transparency as well about the farm. Everything, all the details about the particular brand and the particular bottling. What percentage is that? What grain? When? What farmer it's coming from. All the detail about the cask. So, I'm sure your father must be absolutely chuffed and so proud. He's not there now. You decided not to bring him in.
Oh, he's through listening. If you call him, he'll come through.
Oh, would he? Well, he has I hope he has the link if he wants to come in and share with you this special moment. I would have thought. It's
like Beetlejuice, Sergio. If you say his name 3 times, he'll just appear.
Will he? Let's see. We'll try it. Stuart, if you're there, please do join us. We'd love to get your call. And more as a father than as a distiller, to be honest with you, because it's a massive occasion for a father to see his daughter releasing her first whiskey, and distillation starting today.
Yeah, I don't know what's
both in the same day.
I'd say it could be the distiller.
Yeah. Oh, he could be, could he?
I'd say
snuck out.
It's bigger. He's coming though. I can hear him.
Okay. Oh, there you go. It's that's like that BBC entry where you have the child in the background.
There's no small children for me to grab and kick out the room again.
Good evening, Stuart. How are you? Thank you very, very much for joining us.
Not at all. I'm great.
Well, look, you must be hugely proud as a father, and obviously you are involved in at the director level in the business, and you did distill this and brought your years of experience to this, and we're just trying to get our head around how you managed to release this whiskey that seems way beyond its years and has so much complexity and flavor in it.
a lot of that is very much on the cask you choose when you first lay down the spirit, and that's what's important. So it was right at the beginning we chose the casks that we thought would work well with the spirit that we were trying to produce at the time, and then it comes to a final selection. So that was very recently. We did our final cut from the casks that were available.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very much all the elements: the new make spirit, the cask, and then making that final selection.
I'm laughing because when the guys went around to do the final selection, I hear that you were there for quite a while deciding on the final.
And in all seriousness, and yeah, it sounds like it's great fun, and it was a good fun day. But
doesn't sound too rough now, in fairness.
Stuart, can I ask you a question there? I think this is a single cask, so you've selected this from a range of casks.
Yeah.
For me, like how difficult can that be? Because you've got this thing that stands out as really, really good, and do you go, we should bottle that, or should we leave this for another 5, 10, 15 years? It's going to improve. How do when you're tasting these whiskies at that sort of age? How do you go, right, this is prime for bottling, or do you go, oh, what should we do? Should we leave this a bit longer? Or do you just go, it's ready for it. This tastes great. We've got to bottle it.
It's more of the latter, Michael. This is the one, and we had a range of casks that we felt were good enough, and we wanted to release one, and then it was to say which is the best one at this moment in time. But very much, particularly once they age further, and they get older. And my business in Scotland is about single casks that are old, and it's trying to get them at the prime time. And that's what will happen as we grow older in the business, as the whiskies mature further. Then you'll just try and hit them at the peak time. Now, for me, that is a fabulous whiskey as a 3-year-old. And I'm at least 3-year-olds in the past, and I think new young spirits that have come out the right cask are just brilliant, and that is a really good one.
I'll ask Jennifer first, so that you have recompense to come back. Jennifer, what's it like in practical terms to work with family?
I think my dad, I'm lucky in that my dad, I should probably say we generally live in different countries, so we don't normally have to work with each other.
Can't go home now because of COVID.
No, I'm lucky with my dad. Like he generally lets me run everything, and I think we've got quite clear lines on where our areas of responsibility lies. Like mine is the day-to-day. If we're going choosing a cask, I get Stuart to do it. If it's anything about distillation parameters, if it's anything about whiskey parameters, or choosing what whiskey we buy in, if it's older casks, it's you. And if it's day-to-day, like we use Stuart's contacts, I take his advice on a lot of things, but day-to-day runs generally me. Yeah. And that's fine. And then when things like, so it's not been that bad. We're 3 weeks together now.
Yeah, I mean the day-to-day things are the things that go wrong. So I'm quite happy if Jennifer wants to take all that.
Yeah. And tell me, of course, Liam, unless you're going to drag in Liam as well now, is he going to appear through the door, or is he out in the field?
Oh, he's here. He might come.
He might come. Well, look, let me share. You were very generous. You shared some very nice photos. Actually, I just thought they were nice photos, so I'll just share them. That's presumably tasting new make somewhere. Yeah.
That's the day we distilled our own barley.
Okay. Day one.
One of the days. Yeah. Hi, Liam. I told you. Yeah. It's like people just around here. You say someone's name, and they just appear.
Stuart, I love the color of your shirt. It's very nice.
Which one? The blue one?
The one you're wearing there in that photo. I think it looks well.
Yeah.
Very similar to mine.
Not in the same shop.
Yeah. And there you. Oh, now this is in front of some casks somewhere, but a lovely photo. What are you drinking, Jen?
I was drinking a Watershed cocktail.
Very nice.
That was a pear flip.
Okay.
It was, yeah. It was lovely, actually. And Liam's drinking Watershed.
Very nice.
That's on the farm, but not in the warehouse. It was set up in a shed on the farm.
All right, okay. But this is on the farm, this photo. Obviously. Yeah. That's a great photo.
That's wheat, I think, actually, though.
No, it's barley.
Is that barley?
Yeah.
Is that Spot the farmer? It's not me.
And there, sorry, now you'll have to forgive me. I don't know the gentleman on my right. That is Liam's father, is it?
That's my father, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's the, I suppose, fourth generation, and myself is fifth generation. So
He's also called Liam.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's obviously a very proud day for you, and great to see that your product is appearing in a bottle as well.
Yeah,
and I think this is I did say you were kind of a high achiever, Jen, and you've decided to high achieve hopefully in whiskey, but that was what was it, Young Entrepreneur or Entrepreneur of the Year for Tipperary?
Yeah, Young Entrepreneur of the Year, Tipperary.
Very good.
2016 or 2017, yeah.
2017.
Which is
Bottling hole, like.
Yeah, obviously you can see high scale bottling.
Still, we move things around a little bit to do the actual bottling, but that's all the equipment.
Yeah.
And that's our fermenters.
Yeah, you've enough of them. I mean, it's not that small. You were telling me you had 4 stills.
Yeah.
no.
Can you tell us a little bit about those and the choice and the reason? I mean, you're not going to quadruple the still, I don't think, but
Nope.
You've obviously got a lot of flexibility there. Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about them? For me to talk about them?
You go ahead.
They're Hoga stills. Hoga are a Portuguese manufacturer. They're they've got 3 800s and 1 1000. And they are, I don't know if anyone's bought from Hoga, like they're really cool, but they come packed and they arrive on site. And like if anyone out there thinks that flat pack furniture is hard, honestly, like I had a flat pack distillery arrive. So yeah, me and Liam, mostly Liam, set it up.
Where's Liam gone? He didn't want the small chair. He wanted to be able to.
Yeah,
there we can see you now.
2 chairs in here. So like literally we built it ourselves when it arrived. So when Stuart started turning on the boilers, like they might not have been tightened enough.
I think the plan behind them was to have 2 of them for whiskey, 2 of them available for other products if we wanted them. That's kind of what we decided to do.
Yeah.
Working our philosophy that we always like creating new products. You know, that's part of why we do single cask as well. New products are so much more interesting.
Yeah. How do you source your casks?
Well, we buy from suppliers, and yeah, I've visited suppliers from America to Spain to, in fact, the Ukraine and bought casks all around the world. So there are those contacts for casks from wine, sherry, bourbon, but we also source reused casks, many of them from Scotland. So what we've got is a history of each cask that we lay down spirit in.
We've got some really cool ones arrived last week. Really
So you're
cool.
maturing on site. That's the other thing. I mean, you are doing everything from grain to maturation to bottling. So you have maturation on site.
Yeah.
Excellent.
We've got a little shed beside the farmhouse. Like it's right beside our farmhouse.
Excellent.
So you go out the side door and you go straight into the maturation shed.
Yeah.
You love
Jen,
it.
you don't mind if I ask your father one question there in terms of, what are the significant and the biggest differences in dealing with a smaller distillery compared to the large ones that you would have worked with over the years? Well, what's the fundamental difference?
Probably the big The biggest difference is, the process is the same, exactly the same, but it's not dealing with a corporation.
Yeah.
That is a fundamental difference in being in 100% charge of every single aspect of it. And in many ways, there's absolutely no automation. So everything is handmade.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference. It's just being in charge of your own destiny and looking out for it.
But handmade doesn't necessarily mean better.
No, it doesn't. Quite agree. I mean, people that put down corporations, I worked for 15 years with William Grant's.
Yes.
And I'm a great advocate of all their products. They make fantastic products.
Yeah.
Diageo, another, the biggest spirit producer in the world. Again, they make absolutely fantastic whiskies, most of which never reach single malts. The occasional single bottles come out.
Sure, yeah.
But, it's just handcrafted doesn't mean better. And I agree. But the difference between what I'm doing now and what I've done in the past is the family ownership and just being in control of everything.
Yeah, so you can fall on your own sword.
Just interjecting what Stuart said there, I think there's two major differences for me. The first one is that I can't offload a load of stuff to different departments that I would like to offload.
Yeah.
So you do end up with a lot of your time that you would like to spend thinking about distillation or about the things that we like working on. We end up spending on things that we don't want to spend time on. So like filing reports or like doing applying for specific licenses or things that we would have hoped to have asked someone else to do. You end up spending your time on those things.
I think they're
or something.
But it actually also means you're 100% in control of what goes into that glass.
Well, that was
that's a big difference.
That was the second point I was going to make. Although you said, and I agree with you, like I think Glenfiddich's a fantastic company. The Grants family are fantastic, and I think their products are brilliant. Do you not think when you're this small, you have the flexibility to try things and to try to experiment and to have a little bit more leeway than you would in a big company?
You do personally. I mean, Grants are not the best example because they are always experimenting. The number of experiments they have is unbelievable. But you can really experiment now, and we can try every single cask.
Yeah.
We can try and buy casks from different places. We can try different cuts in the stills, different fermentation lengths, mashing regimes. So all of these elements that go into making up the whiskey can be changed.
I mean, the other argument as well about single casks as opposed to somebody doing a large production run of whether it's a single malt or a blend, they're looking for consistency. You don't have that noose around your neck to have to necessarily be consistent, which is a big advantage as well. I mean, if you do one cask that isn't maybe as good as the others, or one that's way better than you're not going to be judged too harshly. But if you're doing a long run of 100,000 bottles, one bad batch can ruin the reputation of the whole series. So
I think there's a bit though there, like one bad cask could ruin us though, because that one bad cask is going to stand by itself. Whereas
if it's bad, yes, but I mean, if it's bad, but I mean, and I know you wouldn't release anything bad, but if one's not as good as another,
but let's say if what we're selling is consistency, if we're like, we like all the things, but what we are selling is quality, is not consistency, is quality and is complexity and is depth of flavor, I think we have to deliver that every time. Whereas if I have a bad cask and I'm doing 100,000 bottles, I can hide it in there. I can stick it in.
That's also true.
I agree with that, but I also agree that if you're selling a million bottles a year or a million cases a year, as the likes of Glenfiddich or Glenlivet do, then you have to make sure every single bottle is the same.
It's identical,
yeah.
So that is a massive challenge, and the blenders behind that, and I know the two of them at Glenfiddich very well, it's a very demanding job to make sure they do that.
Yeah. I mean, you have the pressure of having to produce great quality all the time, Jennifer, don't get me wrong, but you don't have the pressure of having to create the same every time.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of, you know. There's a question there from Scott. Why Rioja? And actually, there's another question. When are we going to sample 2? So I poured number 2, but why Rioja?
Hey, drink it!
Michael's delighted. Next whiskey.
Why Rioja? It's from one of Stuart's contacts.
Yeah.
And it's from a certain bodega. It's a Bodega Faustino. And we tried their cask and we liked them. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that. I just think
I'd used them previously, as Michael said, for some young spirit. And at Glenglasser, we released I think it was a 6-month-old product that came from a red wine cask that I really liked, and then was going to release some 3- and 4-year-old, and the business was sold on. And so it never got released. So I knew the quality of the casks. And that's why we decided to buy them.
And I have to ask this question as well then. I mean, this is a fantastic whiskey at this age. Do you think, you know, if this whiskey had been in the cask another 10 years, it would be even better?
I would say...
Not that I would like to wait, sorry.
Some of them may be in the cask another 10 years, and they will be different.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all I say. Won't say they'll be better or worse. They'll be different.
We'll just have to wait.
Okay, take us out of our misery now and take us through to the second sample, please. And Jen, do you want to tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah. So the second sample is it's from our own barley as well. It's from the same harvest, the 2016 harvest. But this is a first fill bourbon rather than a first fill Rioja.
Very different.
Very.
Oh, well, look. I mean, look at the color for a start. Anybody, you know, there's no red there.
A lot more sort of yellowy hayish color, you know.
Sorry, Liam.
Gosh, there's more honey off that. Sweeter, definitely.
It's a lovely whiskey. It comes through a little more nuttiness as well. They're very, very, very different, aren't they? But both equally as good as each other, put completely in their different categories, I suppose, you know. And that's the beauty of it, I suppose. That's the beauty of cask, isn't it? What they do to whiskey. You know, they've got the same sort of, it's the same distillate, different maturation, and even the distillate tastes a little bit different, you know, through the maturation. You know, you still get the barley flavour coming through. It's probably a bit more prominent in this. This shows its youth a little bit more than as opposed to the wine cask, because the wine influence is a lot bigger than, say, the bourbon influence there.
Is it the same distillate that went into Yeah.
They're exactly the same. They are literally, if you walk into our warehouse, the warehouse, there's the Rioja cask is right ahead of you, second pallet down, first one on the right hand side, and that bourbon is the next pallet over on the far left hand side. So
the answer to the distillate is they are the same.
Oh yeah, no, they're the exact same distillate. But sorry, what I meant is the exact same kind of maturation conditions.
Yeah.
Oh really? Yeah.
They're literally, I'd say, 12 foot apart. And the only difference is the two different casks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while I like keep on proclaiming terroir, like you can't deny the difference in the casks in these.
No, of course, no.
They're miles apart. I think they're both special, but they're both.
For me, this is more creamy than I think than the other one floats more on your palate. This one is richer in terms of more syrupy, if that's a term. But I'll leave it to you guys that are the experts to guide me. Michael?
Well, I liked it because it's empty, so I must have enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I would say it's more syrupy because I thought the first one was a lot more jammy and a lot of fruit. and very coating around the palate and around the lips there. This is a bit more in the same sort of area, but just a bit lighter. It's not as lip smacking, and I don't mean that in a bad way or even a better way. It's a different style of whiskey. I think for me, maybe excuse me, maybe a little bit longer. This is something that will improve as it develops, and I think a lot of whiskeys that are released young in bourbon casks can go on and improve and just become absolutely stunners. And I think this is a good start to where we can see this progress. And for me, I still like that Rioja, because I'm biased about Tipperary Rioja cask because they've been excellent for the last couple of years.
Is this a first fill bourbon cask?
Yeah, it's the first fill bourbon. And there's only 83 bottles out of this one. So, like, as Michael said, she's going to get a chance to mature a little bit more.
I think that's what I liked about this, Jennifer. There's only 83 bottles out of this, so it means it's the off license in Tipperary can let it mature for another year and release maybe some more from the cask, and then you can compare them side by side. And I think it was actually one of my favourite distilleries done that, I think, a few years back, Highland Park, and they tried it. And I think that for me is a great experiment. If you take some whiskey out of a barrel and bottle it, and then come back a year later and bottle some more, and maybe come back another year later and bottle it and have this sort of path. Yeah. It's never done because it's hassle to do that, isn't it? That's something that's even that excites me as well. Fair play to the guys in I forgot the name of the off license.
Keepers off license in Care. Yeah.
For doing that, it's a great idea, And
I think the other thing is that you don't do it because you can take a massive hit on the evaporation. So you're taking a huge hit doing it, but it is a really cool, fun experiment to do.
Yeah.
I mean, is that one thing you want to do? Is more experimentation? Are you looking at casks beyond wines and bourbon? We do. We've got sherry, Porto, and Madeira down already, and we've got a rum cask out. We've got a massive range of ex-Scotch whiskey distilleries in the other day. Okay.
We all belong to Dad.
Hang on. I'm just gonna stop you there. When's the lockdown over, and when we all go down to Tipperary?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'll send you a video of them offloading.
I want to be in that warehouse on the video, drinking the whiskey.
Actually, are you going to have a visitor centre down there?
No.
Or are you just going to welcome people?
No, because we spent all our money on distilled whiskey.
Okay. Yeah.
But if you normally what we say is that we don't have a visitor centre, but if you get in touch with us, we try to make sure we can accommodate people. Great.
Okay. So you get the real rustic, natural experience.
Yeah, pretty much. We're not telling you.
In which
there's not going to be a visitor centre, but if you turn up, we'll try and look after you.
Excellent. Okay. Well, look, we hope to make our way down. I really like both. Actually, they're both very, very different. My preference myself would be for the first one because I think it's that little bit more complex. But Jenna, I don't know. I like both. It's terrible. Tell me. I suppose I wanted to. I'll ask all of you because I wanted to see what your opinion was on Irish whiskey, and if there's anything they can learn from Scotch, and if there's anything Scotch can learn from Irish.
So I have to make it properly. Hey.
Do you want me to go first?
I can put Michael on mute if that helps.
I'll give the answer, and Stuart can give the serious answer, and then Michael can tell us why we're all wrong. So I would say that Scotch can definitely learn about experimentation from Ireland. I think that Ireland, conversely, and I know it sounds like I'm being hypocritical, but I'm genuinely being serious. I think Ireland can learn about just that how to phrase this, that sometimes that things that are done well are fine and don't need to be messed with. So sometimes sherry casks are great, bourbon casks are great, wine casks are great, but sometimes you need to find out like what you do well and do that. So I think that's what we're trying to do just now. We're trying to figure out what we do well and do that.
Yeah.
But
So
I mean, that
we're
will develop over time, though, surely, Jen.
What's that?
That's something that's going to be an ongoing process. You know, there's no end journey on that.
Yeah, but like I think that's what we're trying to do. We don't want to do everything right now. We want to be flexible. We want to do some different things. We want to work in some pot still and some single malt. But our main aim right now is not to make all the whiskies. It's to figure out what we do well. And that's what we're going to do right now with the distillation. We're figuring out how to make the best distillate we can make. And then repeat that, and then how to get the best casks out of that. And that is going to be an ongoing process, and it's going to have variations. But I think our main aim for the next while is how to make the best whiskey out of our equipment. But that's, sorry, go on. You can...
No. For me, what can they learn? I had a trip. I'm trying to think now. It must have been 1990, 1991. I was at Glenfiddich, and we had a trip to Middleton to learn about a new maturation technique they were using. So that is best part of 30 years ago. And Scotch and Irish whiskey were already talking ideas between the two of them. So these things are going on all the time. I would disagree with Jennifer in saying that there's more experimentation in Irish whiskey, because Scotch whiskey, certainly very well, it's a legal, it's defined in law how you make Scotch whiskey. I don't think it's quite that legal in Ireland yet, but it certainly is defined in law in Scotland.
Yeah.
It's an act of parliament. But that doesn't stop people experimenting. People experiment all the time. But certainly both can learn from each other. I can't define what, but Scotch is, it's, yes, maybe Ireland made whiskey first. Scotch kind of stole the global crown during Prohibition, and they've just grown and grown and grown throughout the years. Yeah. And now Pernod Ricard and Diageo dominate the world. Yeah. But there's lots for both to learn, and there's great opportunities for both.
Yeah. There's high praise from Mark Murphy. Done a bloody good job with these. Yeah, I have to agree. I really do. For the young whiskies that they punch so far above their weight. They really are. I mean, I love that Rioja. I'm going to ask Liam a question as well. Firstly, what's it like being married to Jen and dealing with all these difficulties around whiskey? And secondly, what's in the field? What strain of barley is out in the field at the moment?
Yeah, well, I suppose just taking the second question there first.
Yeah, I can't mute Jen and keep you on, unfortunately. So
I was make a point when Stuart and Jennifer were talking about the distillation side of it. Like we're continually learning on the farm as well. So for our release here today, the variety of barley was Olympus. Yeah, we've changed that variety last year. So in 3 years' time or 2 years' time from now, we'll probably have it'll be a different variety on whatever release we have then. And that may change again, because I suppose we found that Olympus, for a number of different reasons, from a farming perspective, and I suppose for ourselves here, we had done that for 3 years and we wanted to change it up. So it's not only the distilling side of it, which I'm currently learning a lot about myself at the moment, but it's also the farming side of it, because now we're creating a grain that's making a food product and ourselves, we're learning a bit more there, whereas before we wouldn't have had that kind of, I suppose, interest or knowledge. Married to Jennifer is incredibly exciting every day.
I heard you're learning about malting.
Yeah, and you touched earlier on, we work closely with Garrett Malt, Garrett Heaton.
No, I mean in-house. I heard you were going to be bringing malting in-house on the farm. Jennifer was saying.
Yeah, and I do need some fitness work, all right. But I think floor malting is another speciality that Garrett does very well. But like I think you've got to take stage by stage. So currently we're growing the barley and we're distilling it and maturing it. Like malting is another aspect to it. Stuart will have some familiarity with that with Balvenie. I think that they do their own malting, but Highland Park as well as Michael's favourite distillery.
Yeah.
Second to
It's not a name drop.
But touching on the kind of first question with Jennifer, like it's incredible to watch someone every day. Like, you know, I don't work full time at this myself personally, and Stuart's obviously in Scotland, and Stuart's a huge, you know, asset to us and all that skills and experience Michael touched on earlier on. But Jennifer, day by day, works just incredibly hard, and it's 7 days a week. Took a huge risk, huge bravery, and I you know, every day I just watch it, and it's very proud to have moments like now.
Absolutely.
Aww. Oh, you'll get a good Christmas present.
And Stuart, what were your thoughts when you? What were your initial thoughts when you thought heard Jennifer was going to get into set up a distillery and get into this business?
Yeah, well, I think it was something we talked about at the time. It was kind of actually Jennifer touched it earlier on. It was actually Stuart who came over and saw the farm and was walking around and just highlighted in probably a passing comment and goes, "This would be a great location to build a distillery." And you know, it kind of passed off quickly, and I suppose it was in the back of our minds. We were thinking about it, and I suppose as myself and Jennifer got closer together and we travelled and started discussing things, and you know, that idea was in the back of our mind. And Stuart was, you know, we felt with his skills and his experience, we were in a very unique situation. When I brought that idea to my father, who is a pioneer, that was quite an interesting conversation. But he too has been incredibly supportive, like Stuart. You know, your parents is a major part, and he was very open to the idea, and you know, that's something we're very thankful of as well.
Yeah. Just a quick question there from Mick, who's asking: is the barley produced on the farm, is it organic or close to being organic, or?
Yeah. My quick answer to that, and very complimentary of anyone doing organic. It's very well done, but I have a quick answer I say to Jennifer every time. Anyone who comes to me and recommends organic, they obviously don't drive the combine trying to harvest it.
Right. Okay. All right. So
hats off to anyone who does organic. It's a skill in itself, and it's something we may do at some point in the future. I wouldn't rule it out completely.
I'm told if I allow and buy more land, I'm allowed to do organic.
Well, that's after you sell all your whiskies first, Jen. So you need to
sell a lot of whiskey. Sorry, sell a lot of whiskey to buy organic or buy land.
What's the long-term vision for the business? I'm not going to say it's a business because, well, it is a business, but it's obviously something you kind of ingrained in with you. It is a passion, I can see that. But what's the long-term aim for? What's your ambition?
The long-term aim would be to have something. Do you want me to? Am I happy? Yeah. The long-term aim for me, and like, by the way, there's been a few things now that were controversial where like Stuart said he disagreed with me. We're going to go back after this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we can edit that out. Anyway, no, we can't edit.
The long-term aim for me is to have a whiskey that is regarded as one of the best whiskies in Ireland. I think we want to have both a single malt and a pot still that's regarded as one of the best whiskies in Ireland, consistently one of the best whiskies in Ireland, even as we're producing it in small quantities from the farm. And that's what I want, and that's what I want to see in 10 years' time, in 12 years' time. Even as we grow and we expand a little bit more, I want to see it still being that every single one is as good quality as the single cask that we do. Yeah. That's what I want.
Well,
you can go ahead, guys.
Yeah. Brian Green is asking a question there regarding your ambitions to do pot still. I presume it's Brian Green. If it's not, shout at me. But how's the pot distillation runs going, and what's the ratio of malted to unmalted?
We had our first distillation today, and we're trying to sort out like single malt. Brian.
Yeah. Jumping the gun a little bit. And the other thing, do you plan to use other grains at any point?
I kind of like now, and the lads are going to go to me, Jen, stop talking. But like, why wouldn't I? Because Liam grows other grains, because we rotate our grains all the time. So we probably will when we're formulating the pot still whiskey that we come to. But I know that Stuart just wants to get his single malt sorted first before I start sorting out my pot still. So yeah, we will, but we just need to sort out the single malt first.
I'm gonna ask your dad a question again. So Stuart, what are the qualities that make a good distiller, regardless of where you are, and what are the qualities that make a good distillery? I mean, you've obviously seen so many. What are those attributes that really make something stand out from everything else?
I think for me, it's this, and to make a good distillery, you need enthusiastic people and people that are passionate about what they do. Yeah. And that's kind of the same for a good distiller. Is somebody that is absolutely passionate about making the best product that they can with equipment, and at the same time always wanting to learn. I mean, throughout my life, I visited other distilleries to try and pick up tips, look at what they're doing, experiment with products, and that's what it's all about. It's all about, for me, it's all about passion. That is the key element. So I've recruited a few distillers, both, and help people in their way. I like to think they're both male and female, and it's about the passion that they bring and the desire to improve themselves in the product, and that's really what it is.
I suppose one final question, and then you touched on women there. Have you faced any issues at all, Jen, as being a female owner of a distillery, a female manager, or in the industry? Have you come across any of the, all the scandal around Jim Murray's comments, and sometimes you see other, or you've never made an issue out of the fact, but I'm just wondering, have you come across any?
I think that I think that there's, in general, women are treated differently in society. I don't think anyone can argue that that's the case, that they are. We are. And some people prefer dealing with guys. Some people take it badly if you complain about something, if you're female. And yeah, look, you're generally treated differently if you're female, and your reactions are treated differently. But I don't think that it is different in the whiskey, specifically the whiskey industry. It's just life in general. That's
life in general, as opposed to
Yeah. Now, I will say, like the alcohol industry, the vast majority of the time I'm sitting behind a desk doing this, or I drive to a lot of tastings when they're not online, and so I wouldn't be drinking at tastings. So I disappear afterwards, and I don't have to deal with the fallout that people have to deal with if they're sitting around the table drinking with everyone, or the fallout that I used to have to deal with when I worked in bars. Like, that's an entirely different thing, and that is, that's a million miles away from the area of the whiskey industry that I'm in just now. But the rest of it is, and I don't want to dismiss it, because like being female in society it's just a little bit harder. But like, it is what it is. So you just, I don't know, I just kind of feel like that you have to get out there if you're female, and you have to be seen to be out there, and you have to be seen to be doing things, so that as younger people come through, they see people in those positions, or see females in those positions, and they can see themselves in that, and they can, she says, reaching over people's faces, they can see themselves in those positions, so that they can aim to be that way.
Well, I mean, look, I mean, I think part of the success, certainly of Tipperary, is the fact that you are such a profound role model for a lot of younger women and women in general, to show that, look, I can go out and do this. I don't have to make an issue out of it. I just work hard, stick my head down, and produce the results. So I think that's a huge bow in your armament. So congratulations for that. I don't want to be in the situation where I was last week, where I ran out of battery and leave you stranded. But look, from my side, I just wish you all the very best success going forward. I mean, the journey really starts now. I think this is an amazing start. I think as for yourself, Jennifer, I'm sure it's a huge occasion, and for your father and your husband there, I mean, they must be so immensely proud of what you've done. I'm sure it makes it all the more special. It's a family business, and we wish you every success in the future. And Michael, I have nothing to say to you, but no, Michael has been very patient. He hasn't been getting the limelight. He provides a fantastic service. Really, if anybody, these are difficult times, so we should be supporting local. L Mulligan Whiskey Shop is where the whiskey will be available. I'm sure it'll fly out the door. Michael's been a tremendous ambassador for Irish whiskey, and thank you very much for giving us the honor of sharing this experience with you. Really means a lot. So I'm looking forward to be able to come down. I'm looking forward to try more of that whiskey. Do you want to leave it with anything in your head there, Jen? I'll let you have the final word.
I will say that boxes like this are very easy to wrap for Christmas.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that was easy.
In a package.
Yeah, so that's nice. It will make a lovely Christmas gift. I really hope you have every success with it. It deserves it, genuinely. And I'm usually praising the whiskeys that are on the show, but this is exceptional. So, the future is very bright if you start off this way. So, thanks for letting us show your fantastic products, and best of luck. Stay safe, everybody. And we'll catch next week on the show. Actually, we have another distillery, and we'll fill in those details later. But we'll let you go. Thank you very much, and stay safe, everybody. Sláinte, by the way. Sláinte. To every success. My samples run out, Michael. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.
Give you.
All right. Goodbye. Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, so thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I really do think it's a fantastic whiskey, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of Tipperary in the future. I'm sure it'll be fantastic. And if you do wish to purchase a bottle, it's mulliganwhiskeyshop.com. Thank them for sharing this experience with them. It's not every day that a distillery opens and releases their own spirit. And finally, as I said, we'll be announcing the winner of the competition that we had with Powerscourt tomorrow on our website. And next week, our guest, it will be Bernard Walsh, the man behind the Irishman and Ryder's Tears whiskey. So that should be very interesting. I'm really looking forward to that. They produce some fantastic whiskies. And that's it. In the meantime, everybody stay safe. Thank you very much. And we'll catch you next week. Good night.